it applies regardless. So think about it. It takes a little bit more to be a champion, and you have to figure out what that little more is. Because if you don't, you're just going to be okay.
I'd take you here if I didn't think you could do it.
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. I believe it's Tuesday, February 12th. How's everybody's weekend? How's everybody's Monday? I hope it was well. I hope it went well. I hope it went better than mine. Today's episode of the 1,000 Ways podcast is called, what is it called? I wrote it right here. Any given day, and mainly it's going to be about the experience of this past weekend at a competition, because there's a lot of lessons to be learned and a lot of things that I've had to overcome the last couple days, in the last 6 months, but the last couple days. I don't know if anybody has ever seen a weightlifting competition, but it does take a while, and in that time frame, and the time frame from sitting and waiting to actually compete, a lot can go on in between that. For me, I'm usually in the last session. So the last session of the last day of the competition. So, there's some meets where it only lasts a day. There's some meets that last 2 days. Something like nationals or U25 that's gonna last 3 or 4 days, and I'm still lifting on the very last day. So there's a lot of time that I have to myself. There's a lot of time that I have to just think and kind of sit and wonder what's going to happen. A lot of it is it can get pretty daunting. It can get pretty intimidating when you have 3 or 4 days to sit there, and initially you're excited. At the very beginning, you're very excited and ready to go. And as time goes on, over the course of a couple days, you start getting in your own head about it. You start thinking about, well, what if something goes wrong? What if something happens? And you have to do your best to push that out. You have to do your absolute best to not think about that way. You really have to be in control of those invasive thoughts, those thoughts that just pop in and you think, oh shit, what if I bomb out? What if I miss my first lift? What if I hurt myself again? There's a lot of things that can pop in your mind, but if you can't control them, if you can't be on top of those, and if you really can't, if you can't control those definitely get the best of you. And it can happen to you in any situation, not weightlifting. It can happen, it can happen in any sports situation, any sort of situation where you have to move forward and go 100%. Let's say you have a presentation coming up at work. You're meeting with some investors for your startup company. There's something going on, and you schedule the meeting for a Thursday or Friday. It's Monday or Tuesday today, and you're prepped, you're ready to go, and all you start thinking about is, what if I fuck something up? What if I don't say something right? What if I give them the wrong information? What if I come off as, stupid, just some stupid young buck, and they don't take me seriously? There's a crazy amount of ways that everything can go wrong, but there's only really one way to make it go right, and your goal is to make it go right every single time. But life is life is about the experience. I'm sorry if I laugh into the microphone. My girlfriend Bailey told me that I sound like a psycho when I just laugh and continue on, so I'm gonna try my best to not do that. But yeah, performing at 100%, at making sure that something goes right, you have to deal with all these crazy invasive thoughts that just pop in your head at random times. You could be feeling perfect. Everything could be going well, and one thought can just needle its way into your mind, and that's it. And from that one thought stems another, and over the course of the weekend, I had a lot of those. I've done a lot of mental training and a lot of practicing on how to minimize the damage that those thoughts do, and I believe that I'm pretty good at it. I tend to wisen up right beforehand and right before I need to actually perform, and it's a skill. It is a skill. I'm probably really not that good at it. There's probably people that are better. It's goal would be to not have any negative thoughts at all. But I think as a human being, you're gonna have those thoughts that pop in your head regardless. I think it's just human nature to think about the worst case scenario, the worst thing that could possibly happen. That was a deep breath. Sorry. Over the course of the weekend, it was my first performance back. It was my first time being on a platform in the last 6 months, and there was a lot of just nervousness, a lot of nerves, and a lot of I was just really nervous. I mean, and being nervous is a good thing. I was nervous and excited all at the same time. There was a lot of things that I was just trying to get through, because coming back from a serious injury over the course of 6 months, it's no competition. There was nothing really. I was just kind of prepping on the backside, and I wanted to do well. That was something I wanted to do, and my goal was to, I remember when I signed up for the competition, when I signed up, I told Sage that I wanted to sign up to win, and it's I don't know of anybody who signs up for something not intending to win, but I definitely wanted to win. That was something that I wanted to do, and long story short, it didn't end up happening. I lost in a pretty good fashion. I went out and I tried to snatch 140 kilograms, which is 308 pounds, and on the first attempt I kind of biffed it. I pulled it really high, got under the bar, and I didn't really lock out, and it just kind of fell behind me. And then my second attempt, I came back and I did the same weight, and I pulled it, got under it, and I received it, but I pulled it a little bit too much, and it started falling backwards, and I started falling with it. I just couldn't stabilize it, so I ended up falling backwards, throwing the bar forwards, and then the bar ended up slamming my shin into the ground, and it hit my shin and on the top of my ankle, and slammed into the ground, and it really hurt. Not gonna lie. Oh, did it again. It really hurt. I slammed it into the ground, and I came off the side, and I knew I had to go back out there at least to finish the snatch, and I did try really hard to come back and snatch it the last time, and same thing. I pulled it, caught it, I drove myself under it, stabilized myself underneath it, and I just started rolling backwards. Again, I should have sat in the bottom. I should have just waited and been a little bit more patient, but nerves got the best of me. I just wanted to stand it up and be victorious, just win. But that didn't happen. I ended up rolling backwards and throwing it forwards again, and I didn't register a lift at all. I bombed out, and that was the second time in my career that I've bombed out. And I keep having people, I've had people tell me, and right after it happened, I had a lot of people tell me that, I fought for each one of those lifts, and I didn't give up, and I can say that that's the case. I definitely did not give up. I definitely gave my all to make sure that I got a lift, and I didn't quit. I didn't clark away. I didn't do anything like that. It just wasn't my day. It happens. Everyone has those days, and it just happened to be one of mine. That's why any given day is the theme. It's the way, anything can happen on any day. And it was something that my dad had told me. Previously, that in any situation, you can go into it feeling, the best you can. The best you can. You can, not think anything wrong is going to happen. Nothing bad. You don't think you're going to lose. It's the furthest thing from your mind, and and you could still end up just make it happen. And it happens all the time, just in life in general. Things just don't go your way, and the thing that you have to think about after it happens, the lesson that you have to take from it is not whether or not it's not whether or not you were, that you failed, because failing is just the end result. You have to think about what you put in beforehand, what you put in from the beginning. You have to think about all the things. You have to think about, your preparation, the mindset going into it. You have to think about, where you were on the day. It's mental wise, physically wise. There's a lot of things that go into it that you have to evaluate afterwards. And I was definitely disappointed. I felt like I had disappointed. I felt like I disappointed Sage. I felt like I disappointed Coach B, everyone that came out to see me. I felt like I disappointed, my team and just everybody watching, and I think the hardest part was in between snatch and clean and jerk, where we get our break, and coming off the platform the last time, my ankle really hurt because that bar really slammed into it, and I couldn't really squat down or balance. I ended up seeing luckily my physical therapist was there at the meet, and she told me that I ended up coming away with a bone contusion on my shin bone right above my ankle, and that really was painful at the time. I before the meet I had taken a bunch of Aleve just to reduce any inflammation that I had anywhere else, and when it started wearing off later on that night, I definitely felt it, and I especially felt it at work yesterday. But in between snatch and clean and jerk, I had a rough decision to make, and it was I'm glad that I have the support and guidance from Sage and from Coach B when they talked, and they both talked and they they came to the conclusion that it wasn't a smart thing for me to move forward with the clean and jerk. It just wasn't a wise thing to do. There was no reason to do it. And and it was just really I've never quit anything before a midway. And I know that Sage and Coach B both, they don't think that I quit, but I think the hardest thing is for me personally. I feel like I did. I think I could have went out there and did 120 or 130 or 140, just something light, just to go out there. But that's another thing you have to do with loss and losing. The difference between winning and losing is being able to make the decisions to know when it's time to be smart and know when it's time to avoid any mistakes or any bad decisions that could potentially come up and make something worse. It wasn't 6 months ago when I hurt my wrist. That was definitely a huge blow to my psyche. It was a huge blow to everything. Because I had, up until that point, and it's funny now thinking about it, but up until that point I had gone through every single meet, every single time that I had to perform. I had gone through and thought of, and actually performed better every single time. I had consistently gotten better and performed at least somewhat better in a lift, PR to total, PR to lift, in every single meet up until the time that I got hurt. And the second that it happened, it just kind of it was a big slap in the face, because it was like, here you are, everything has been good, and we've been progressing so much over the course of this time that I kind of forgot that weightlifting and this goes for everything else, but you can do so good in everything as you progress and you progress and you progress, and then the second that something bad happens, you get smacked right in the mouth, and then you forget that you're susceptible to anything. You're not invincible. You're not invincible. You're not an outlier. Anything could happen. Anything can happen on any day, and that's what I definitely had forgotten that up until that point. I had, and I let myself and my mindset and just me get in the way of myself. I remember the meet that the American Open Series 3, where I had hurt my wrist, and my behavior and my actions in the back room. Oh my God! If you put me next to somebody who's a professional, if you put me next to somebody that's on the world team, something like that, their behavior and my behavior would have been completely different. There's a certain, professionalism that each one of them had, or that each person on that team has, and there's a reason why, and I didn't have that. I was sitting around and joking around and just being I was just being an asshole. I was just like, my shit didn't stink, and thinking about it now, that's the reason why I had gotten hurt, that was my thinking going into it, and I, I did it to myself. It just happens, and you do it to yourself, and I ended up letting myself down, and I paid dearly for it, and and the universe has put 6 months in front of that injury for me to come back and grow as an athlete and a person, and I hope that I have, and I hope that my display of what happened over the weekend and me learning from it and talking to you guys about it, I hope that in some sort of way has shown that that I've learned from it. And again, from the beginning, this podcast isn't about motivating one person, or the goal isn't to motivate somebody. It's really just a way for me to grow as a person and reflect on everything that's happened, and because of that, I hope that people would look inward and do the same thing that has allowed me to move forward and grow and become a better athlete and leader and a person. And I hope everyone takes the time to reflect on a time where something didn't go well for them. They didn't perform to the best of their abilities, and because of that, they've had to sit and reevaluate everything. Or if they're in that position right now where something bad happened, they still haven't, you got to take the time to really sit and think about everything that's happened. There's a part in Rocky 2. There's a part in Rocky 2 when Rocky goes back to Mickey's gym, and he's opening his locker, he's putting his stuff in his locker, and Mickey comes up to him and he tells him that he's not going to train him anymore. He's not going to train him anymore because for whatever reason, Rocky doesn't believe that he can fight Apollo again. And there's a part where Mickey calls Rocky a bum, and Rocky looks at Mickey with such shock and just sadness and so much hurt, and I really resonate with that because all of my life, if there's anything that I never wanted to be, it was a bum. I just never wanted to. I've never wanted to be a bum, but in anything that I did, and in that period of 6 months after I think it was the first couple of months, right after I had gotten hurt, we got fired. There was a bunch of stuff that happened. I was sitting there and I was thinking about myself like, wow, like you really are a bum. And that's the thing that I wanted to avoid being my entire life. And I love the Rocky movies. Those movies are some of the greatest movies that I've ever seen, and I can't not. You can't listen to that music, that training montage music, and not feel like you could be doing a little bit more. And at the end of the day, on Sunday, after not making a snatch, after not going out for clean and jerk, after again sitting on the hurt bench, there was nothing more than I didn't feel like anything but a bum, and I know that, and I'm not and I'm not saying it because I want people to feel bad for me. I'm not saying it because I want some sympathy or pity. I don't. I just want everyone to know that for me to be, for me to be honest, for me to be a successful and positive role model to myself, I have to be honest with myself. And I felt like a bum. I feel like a bum now. It's been a full day, and I still feel like a fucking bum. And the only thing that I can do about it is work harder. That's the only thing that I can do. I can only work harder, because losing and disappointment is inevitable. You're always going to do that. You're always going to feel it. You're always going to disappoint somebody. You're going to fail, and you're going to fail, and you're going to fail. But even though I'm upset about all of this, even though I'm upset about how I feel and my performance and what it is, at the same time I'm excited, because at the same time I'm still, it just means that I'm still able to get better. That's it. I still have room to get better. I still have room to improve. I still have room to just move forward. There was a thing that I saw on Instagram. It was Bob Ross. I think I posted it. It was he said, as long as you're learning, you're not failing. And that's true. I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that in my soul, because if I were to sit back and I was and not learn from this weekend, not learn about this, not learn about my performance and about who I am as a person, from not preparing well to the looks on my coach's face when I asked her if she was going to be disappointed in me. And she's not. But if I don't learn anything from this, there's no point in any of this. I'm not a champion. I definitely was not a champion that day. I have not been a champion in the last. I don't think I've ever really experienced being a champion by myself. I've been parts of groups, I've been parts of teams where as a collective effort, we've all won, and we've all been a group of champions. But me on my own, I can't say that I've ever really been a champion in anything that I've done and set my mind to. And that's a harsh fact. But the fact of the matter is, because of that, it just means that I'm not doing enough. I'm not working hard enough, and I'm not applying the things that I've learned well enough, and regardless of everyone else, I'm not doing it for anybody else. But the fact that I haven't done it for myself yet just means that I'm still in a mindset where I'm letting stuff slide. I'm not holding myself accountable, and people definitely need to be responsible for that, and I need to be responsible for that. this is a quote from the Napoleon Hill Foundation. It's the experience gained from the experience gained from defeat often serves as insurance against failure. And and I believe it. If it's just the thing that I've been saying the entire episode. There's a reason why it's called the 1,000 Ways Podcast. But if I were to not take anything from this, if no one else were to take anything from this, if people don't look inwards at a past experience that they've lost, that they've failed, that they've experienced and it didn't go their way, and they didn't sit and think about why, then they'll never truly get better. I love my team. I love my coach. I love, there's a lot of things that I'm passionate about. But I've never experienced so many different emotions from the thing that I love doing the most. And I'm sure that that's the same for everybody. There's some days that you're gonna feel fantastic. There's some days that you're gonna feel like absolute dog shit. There's some days that you're gonna feel, man, I've never gone through such a range of emotions for something that I'm so heavily involved in and want to be a champion in. And that's the part that makes it amazing. That's the part that makes it the best. If people didn't have those, intentions and those purposes, if people didn't have those things that really fuel them, that's okay. It just makes room for the rest of everybody who does. So at this point after everything, after this weekend, after sitting and gathering my thoughts for the last couple days, basically where I'm at now, and what today, what the point of today's podcast is right now I'm not enough for I'm not enough of an accountable person. I'm not enough of a champion. I'm not a champion. I'm not enough of a disciplined person. I'm not enough of a motivated person. Just not enough of all the good things that I need to be to be that champion that I want to be. And that's fine. I don't think I'll ever be enough. My standards are really high for myself, and as an athlete, you're definitely going to be hypercritical of who you are, your performance, what you do, everything. It's crazy. But I'm not saying not enough in a self-deprecating way where I'm like, I'm not enough, I'm never going to be enough, I'm a piece of shit. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, right now, I'm not enough in the things that I need to do. So, if I'm being completely honest, I just have to do more. just do more. Life is really simple, and the things that are, you know, and Sage is an incredibly smart person. She's very smart and very wise, and I'm so grateful for her. And there's something that she said the other day, and it wasn't anything that was directed toward a conversation about being the best. It was a completely different thing, but when she talks, she tends to talk in a way that everything that she addresses is, you know, she kind of has a thing to say for what she says kind of applies to everything. And I think that's her ability to be a very good coach. But not everything is black and white. There's a lot of reasons why I haven't been enough the last, you know, 6 months. There's a lot of reasons why I wasn't enough over the course of the last, you know, month while preparing for this. But in the next 4 weeks before my next competition in Vegas, it's my job to figure out what that gray area is, what the not black and white stuff is. It's figure out what it is that I have to do and do a little more. Next week, not next week, the next episode, the one that's coming out later on this week, it's going to be an episode that's very dear to me. It's definitely something that I've carried with me for a long time. One of the things that really got me started on doing what it is that I love to do, and because of that, I definitely think that's the right direction to head into in the next 4 weeks with trying to figure out what all that gray area is, what it is that I need to fix, and what it is that I need to do better. I'm sorry if this podcast took a horribly depressing and sad turn. It's just been a really rough weekend for me, but I guess that's the benefit of getting a first-hand conversation with me and my crazy laughing to myself. And you know, it's just the things that you have to go through to want to improve, to want to get better. And I'm fully prepared to do those things, because I'm not a bum. I will never be a bum. I sure as fuck feel like one right now, but it is my job and my responsibility, my duty to myself to get as far away from that feeling as possible. So thank you guys for tuning in today. The next episode, you know, later on this week, it's hopefully going to have a much nicer, not so somber tone to it. Like I said, we're going to grow, we're going to get better, and we're going to get on a set schedule. I really want to put the podcast out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So thank you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember to always think. People who think and look inward are always going to be steps ahead of people who don't. There's one thing that's funny, where you can learn stuff from unexpected places. I'm the manager of of a Friar Tuck shop. That's a tuxedo rental place here in Southern California. And before that, I was the assistant manager up up at the store near where I lived. The one that's up here in Temecula. And my manager at the time, his name was Scott. And Scott and I were really good friends. Him and I were really dependent on each other, and we really were just really good friends. And I remember the first time that he said it. I think it was I remember when he said it. I remember the way he said it, and it was meant to be a joke. But we were trying to throw trash into the garbage bin. It was either trash in the garbage bin, or we were trying to throw pens into the pen receptacle, little pen can from across the entire store. It was definitely a slow day, and I think I took it and I missed it. Just almost had it. Like I hit the edge of the can and it bounced off, and I was just super bummed out because that was the closest I had ever gotten. I think I've only made that shot one time. But he said it takes a little bit more to be a champion. And then after that, it's funny because I worked there for 2 years. And every time something like that happened, every time something like that happened, every time we missed something, or in any situation where it applied, that's what we always said to each other. He would always say it. He would always say it takes a little bit more to be a champion. There's no toilet paper in the bathroom. It takes a little bit more to be a champion. There's a customer waiting out here, and I'm on my break. Can you help me while I finish up? And you know what? It takes a little bit more to be a champion. It definitely applied to a lot of situations, but it wasn't until after I left that job. I went and did some other stuff. He left that job. He's gone and he's doing some really big things that he busted his ass to do, and that's always an admirable thought and quality in a leader. But he left that quote with me, and I've only really just started understanding what that meant, and I'm starting to say it more, because even though it was something silly that we said between each other, it applies regardless. So think about it. It takes a little bit more to be a champion, and you have to figure out what that little more is. Because if you don't, you're just going to be okay. And that's what this next 4 weeks is meant for. That's what this next year is meant for. That's what this podcast is meant for. It takes a little bit more to be a champion. And these 1,000 ways, every single way, everything that we talk about, everything that I discuss, those are the little things the extra little things that it takes to be a champion. Now, it's different for everybody. This is my way of showing myself that there are all these little ways to be a champion, and in that process, I hope that somebody picks something up, somebody looks inward. It might not even be something that I say, but somebody looks inward and they find it within themselves. But it takes a little bit more to be a champion, and it's up to you to figure out what that is. So again, thank you everybody who tuned in. I am, I'm gonna get this on a set schedule. I'm gonna get this going a little bit better, and we're gonna have some fun with it. I want to start bringing guests on, because that's gonna be more fun. And there's always a beauty in seeing something from the very beginning. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends and a lot of people that I know that I've watched grow from the beginning, and I'm super proud of them. So I appreciate everyone who's here from the start. So thank you. I hope you have a good Tuesday, and I will see you hopefully on Thursday. What day is that? Thursday, Valentine's Day. What's up? All right, guys. Have a good day.